All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Keen, and welcome to the Football Sources College Football Blog. Here to talk about Week 4's Game of the Week of the 2014 college football year. Now, this week, I have a little bit of a surprise for you guys. Most people thought I was going to put number 1 FSU against number 22 Clemson for my Game of the Week, but my Game of the Week is actually number 5 Auburn against number 20 Kansas State. Now, the reason behind I decided to select this game as my Game of the Week is because of the significance of this game and how much is at stake for this matchup. Now, for this game, it's between an SEC opponent and a Big 12 opponent. This is going to be a great game for you guys to watch, especially if Kansas State pulls off with an upset in this game, because if this Big 12 team beats an SEC opponent and the SEC opponent in Auburn wins the SEC championship, there could be possibly a chance of an SEC team not making it to the college football playoff come towards the end of the season, depending on how the other conferences end up resulting at the end of the year. Now, for Auburn, this could still be a big win against Kansas State. They came off a great come-behind victory against Iowa State last week, and the strength of schedule for Kansas State is not too well. They have only a couple of ranked opponents in their schedule, and if with a big win for Auburn, this could definitely boost up their status coming towards in the Big 12 play. This is going to be an amazing matchup. Now, this is pretty similar between these two teams. They're more rushing, running teams, with Kansas actually 32nd in college football with 236 yards rushing per game, and for Auburn, they were actually the top team in the nation's last season, and this year they're averaging 330 yards per game, and they're actually 7th in the nation. And in points wise, Auburn's actually averaging 52 points per game, while Kansas State 43. But we only had 2 games for these two teams in this 2 matches before this particular game for these two teams. Now, both teams have some pretty unique quarterbacks. Now, Nick Marshall, he's going to be leading the way for the Auburn Tigers, and for Kansas State, Jake Waters. Now, he actually had a great game last week against Iowa State, with rushing for 168 yards and a couple of scores. Great come from the behind victory. Now, speaking of victory, I'm here to give you guys the keys of victory for this matchup. Starting with Auburn, they're going to have to continue to use their fresh legs throughout the entire game, particularly on the offensive side. They have a lot of great arsenal weapons for the offensive players, and especially at the skilled players. Now, they have Corey Grant and Cameron Artis-Payne, who emerged this upcoming season leading the team in rushing for these 2 senior running backs. And at wide receiver, a couple players have been stepping up. Melvin Ray and DeQuell Williams, they've been helping replace Sammy Coates, who's been dealing with a leg injury, and they're actually coming off a good season so far, especially with Williams 214 yards receiving so far this year. So they're going to have to continue to use their weapons, switch things off, particularly at the running back position with Corey Grant and Cameron Artis-Payne. I think these two is a great tandem in the SEC, probably the best tandem in college football. They're already starting off with a great season. Second thing that they need to work on is that on the offensive side, they shouldn't have to really rush the plays. They're going to have to really just take their time. Do not rush the plays. You're not going to want your defense to get back on the field, because I'm going to give you the keys of victory for Kansas State. Now, for Auburn, they just do not have to rush the plays, but sometimes they just need to do a good job managing the clock. I'm not saying eating up the clock, but understand what to do to help out the defense to not be on the field so much as well. Sometimes you kind of want to put your opponent on the corner, and Kansas State is known for driving the ball down the field with great long drives. They're not really known for a high-paced, fast offense who can score right away. You kind of want to trap them in the corner and force this offense to get in an uncomfortable situation and try to score right away. And with the help with the offensive side, I think that will definitely help defense trap them in the corner. And last but not least, on the defensive side, just continue to play SEC football, and it all starts in the line of scrimmage. Now, Gabe Wright, defensively, he's going to have to lead that defensive line, stop everything in the line of scrimmage, and get behind the line of scrimmage to stop the run. And if they pretty much stop the run against Kansas State, this game is pretty much in wraps. Auburn should definitely come off with the victory. Now, for Kansas State, they're just going to have to continue to use that discipline that with Coach Bill Snyder's been teaching them in recent seasons, even in previous seasons before he decided to depart from the team years ago. But ever since he came back, Kansas State is believing more in their football program and in the team and their discipline. They made it to the Fiesta Bowl a couple years back, even though they got spanked by Oregon. win, but this Kansas State team has a lot of maturity, and they play with great discipline, especially running the football, understanding that this game is all about inches. They get if they get 3 yards here, 3 yards there, 4 yards, 5 yards, they really take their time, and they pretty much drive the ball well down the field. Secondly, on the offensive side, tear that Auburn defense apart. Keep creating deep threats against that defense. Pretty much just drive the ball down the field, just ram it right down their throats to tire up that defense, especially coming towards the end of the game. This is when Kansas State can prove that they can become a great team, especially coming towards the second half and the end of the game. They're very well disciplined, as well as great condition and tough team. This team, I think, definitely can compete against Auburn. And last but not least, they're really going to have to get behind the line of scrimmage. Ryan Mueller, he only has 0.5 sacks so far this season. He was actually one of the nation-leading sack leaders last year, but only 0.5 for these first 2 games. And he's going to have to definitely step it up for this particular matchup. He's going to have to be a big impact in that defensive line to slow down Auburn's rushing attack. Now, Auburn's definitely going to get their yards running the football, but Mueller and company is just going to have to slow them down and pretty much control that line of scrimmage as best way they can. And last but not least, for both teams, no turnovers. Absolutely no turnovers. Hold on to the football. Do not fumble. If you create a turnover, the momentum will go towards the opponent team, the opposition. And both teams cannot afford to have any turnovers in this matchup. This is going to be a great slugfest. Now, for this matchup, who I believe is going to win this game, now due to the fact that Auburn, I believe, has a better arsenal on the offensive side, despite the fact that Kansas State has good maturity and toughness on both sides of the field, offensively and defensively, I'm going to have to go with Auburn in this one. And also due to the fact the last time Kansas State beat a top 5 team was back in 2006 against, yes, my Texas Longhorns, but that was years ago. And I really think they're gonna have enough energy and enough support, even though it is a home game for the Kansas State Wildcats. I still think that Auburn has just too much weapons offensively, too many fresh plays that they can use. And I think they're going to have just enough to beat Kansas State in this matchup. But I think this is going to be a great slugfest. We'll have to go with number 5 Auburn over number 20 Kansas State. Now, the next time I'm going to catch you guys will actually be tomorrow, where I will talk about all the remaining key matchups for week 4 of the college football season. Thank you for watching today's blog from the Football Source. I'm your man, King McCall. Be easy.